Freshly Reloaded is back for a full weekend of events with large crowds already gathering. Tonight's events are centered in Savannah as Tybee Island gears up for the weekend's main attraction, the Beach Music Festival happening tomorrow. WSAV's Isabella Baez is live on the island for us with what residents and visitors can expect.
That's right, Ben. College students are pouring into the coastal empire for Crush Reloaded, and many of them already headed out to the beach, with thousands expected tomorrow as Tybee Island holds this weekend's biggest event, the Beach Music Festival. Stephen Smalls, the founder and CEO of Crush Reloaded, says he's been working for months with Tybee City leaders and law enforcement to make sure this large-scale event runs smoothly. He says they expect to top last year's attendance of 30,000 people.
Good time, and I want to keep it that way. Crush Reloaded is a rebranding to let you know that a new person is in charge. I'm here to make sure stay organized and stay working with the city and try to keep the chaos down as long as we have entertainment on the beach.
With those large crowds expected, there will be a heavy law enforcement presence. This year, it's a joint effort with Tybee Island Police being supported by multiple agencies, including Chatham County and Liberty County Sheriff's Offices, the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and the Savannah Police Department.
We're assisting in some capacity. When people come back in town, we'll be there to assist and make sure that everybody's safe coming downtown.
Most of this year's Crush Reloaded events are taking place in Savannah, but Saturday's Beach Fest remains the main attraction, expected to draw the largest crowds and create heavy traffic. Several side roads and parking areas will be closed, though officials hope to keep cars moving with a continuous U-turn traffic flow plan.
The parking lots were disaster zones on this end, very dangerous areas to be in that weekend, so we're blocking off parking down here as well. But it's really, for the people that are trying to get here, it makes it very difficult because there's nowhere to park. So we are going to pull back a little bit this year and allow more parking on Butler.
Officials say if you're planning to head to Tybee Island tomorrow, to plan ahead, expect delays, and be patient, as there's only one way on and off the island. Reporting live on Tybee Island, I'm Isabella Baez, WSAV News 3 on your side.
Isabella, thank you. A former Wayne County high school teacher is under arrest accused of having an improper relationship with a student. The GBI says 24-year-old Courtney Shaver has been charged with 2 counts of improper sexual contact by an employee. Investigators say the case began back in January after a report alleging Shaver was having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student while she taught science at Wayne County High. Officials say there is no indication any of the contact took place on school property. She was placed on administrative leave and later resigned from her position. The GBI says she was taken into custody at her home today and booked into the Wayne County Jail. The Georgia State Patrol assisted in her arrest. A Statesboro man is behind bars accused in a child exploitation investigation. The GBI says the 20-year-old Logan Heath is charged with 1 count of sexual exploitation of children. Investigators say the case started in April of last year after a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about possible possession and distribution of child sex abuse material. Heath was arrested on Tuesday and booked into the Bullitt County Jail. The Georgia Department of Public Safety is responding after allegations that some troopers were making money off of pit maneuvers. The agency says 4 troopers are now out of a job. State officials say the investigation started in January after concerns were raised about troopers filing personal injury claims following pursuits. According to the department, those troopers submitted a large number of crash and incident reports to an attorney who then sought financial settlements from the drivers involved in those chases. All 4 have since been fired. The department says these incidents do not represent the agency as a whole and emphasized its commitment to accountability and public trust. Officials have not released the names of the troopers involved, and it's unclear whether any criminal charges will follow. We are getting yet another look at a devastating fire that ripped through a local apartment complex. The Chatham County Fire Department has now shared this aerial video of the Georgetown Oaks apartments as they were going up in flames on Sunday. 5 people had to be rescued, including 2 small children who had to jump from the 3rd floor and were caught by police officers waiting below.
Come on. Hey, come on. You okay?
The children were treated for smoke inhalation but are expected to be okay. 3 other people, including a pregnant woman, were also rescued. The State Fire Marshal's office is still working to determine the exact cause. We're told 38 people are now displaced. The Red Cross is working to assist them. If you'd like information about how you can help, just go to our website. Despite strong opposition from some residents, the Glynn County Commission has approved a new zoning ordinance that would allow the construction of data centers. County leaders say they have not received any proposals to build them, but they want to take a proactive stance in case of future interest. Opponents worry about the enormous amount of energy and water that data centers use. Yesterday's rezoning approval happened despite a vote last month by the county's Joint Planning Commission, which recommended a 120-day moratorium to allow a working group to strengthen the ordinance. New tonight, dozens packed the Johnny Mercer Theater as former Vice President Kamala Harris made a stop in Savannah for her book tour. WSAV's Nikiah Harris joins us now with more on the conversation and what she had to say.
Now, Ben, filming was not allowed during the actual conversation, but this event was billed as a conversation as Harris didn't hold back, touching on everything from the economy, foreign policy, and the future of the country.
She's a beautiful person, and she's inspired the youth. She's inspired me.
On Friday, people from near and far filled the Johnny Mercer Theater, hoping to hear from former Vice President Kamala Harris on everything from her book 107 Days to the state of the nation.
I do want to hear about the current administration and what is actually going on.
I guess I would like to hear what she has to say on her perspective of what has happened in the past year and a half.
During the conversation, Harris focused heavily on foreign policy, pointing to the conflict in Iran, describing it as a war of choice. Those concerns spilled into the economy with discussion on rising gas prices and the cost of living, issues many in the crowd say matter most.
She was pretty much right on the dot about what was going to happen in this administration. I want to hear a little bit more about everything that has transpired and looking at the future.
As for the future, Harris also touched on America's role on the global stage, saying the country is losing its ability to lead on human rights and democratic values, but added that trust in alliances can be rebuilt. And while questions remain about her own political future, Harris recently saying she has not decided whether she will run again in 2028.
But I think the Democrats need to open the floor to any qualified candidate and put the best people forward to beat the Republicans in 2028.
Now, Harris also encouraged Georgia voters to support Senator Jon Ossoff, calling the midterms a critical moment to shift the balance of power. She also emphasized the role of younger voters, saying decisions being made now will directly impact their future. Nikiah Harris, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Nikiah, thank you. On the other side of the aisle tonight, the Republican National Committee spokesperson is responding to Harris's visit to Savannah by saying, quote, Georgians are still paying the price for Kamala Harris and Jon Ossoff's agenda from open borders to Bidenomics. No one cares what Harris has to say, and no one trusts Ossoff to put them ahead of the radical left. Savannah State University is celebrating a historic milestone today, the official investiture of its new president, Dr. Jermaine Worrell. Chancellor of the University System of Georgia, Sonny Perdue, presented Dr. Worrell with the Presidential Medallion of Savannah State, formally marking the start of his leadership. Students, faculty, staff, city leaders, and state education officials gathering for the ceremony, which university leaders called a significant moment in school history. In his address, Dr. Worrell said he is humbled by the opportunity and honored to be part of the history of the university's next chapter.
Today, I stand before you deeply humbled by the history of this institution, humbled by the responsibility of this role, and humbled by the opportunity to lead one of the most important institutions in this state and in this nation. This is the institution that educated teachers when communities needed educators. This is the institution that produced leaders when leadership was not always welcome. And this is the institution that opened doors when doors were closed.
Meanwhile, Investiture Week continues with the 27th Annual Scholarship Gala set for 6 tomorrow night at the Savannah Convention Center. The event wraps up the week's celebration and helps raise funds for student scholarships, with nearly 90% of Savannah State students relying on financial aid. WSAV's Kim Gusby will serve as co-MC for the night.